English translation 368th contact. Friday, 5th November 2004, 4:59 hours.
Hello, dear friend Ptaah. It is nice that you came to visit after all, after you had to leave so quickly after our correction work. Bernadette wanted to say something, but you were already up and away.
As a matter of fact, I was in a big hurry. However, be greeted now, my dear friend.
May I burden you with some questions right away?
Of course, but there should not be too many of them, for I feel impelled to discuss a few things with you and also to devote myself to chess, if you are willing.
Sure, it will be my pleasure. But then I want to ask you right away what the TV and newspaper reports are about Yasser Arafat, who is in the military hospital in France and in Paris. There are extremely confusing reports about his state of health, from which nobody can make sense. According to the latest reports, he is said to be in a deep coma, although it is also claimed that brain death has already occurred. Only the doctors treating Arafat know what is really true. It is clear and certain that he will die this month, but what about his condition? Further, there is the thing with the seriously cancer-ill boy Dominic from Germany, who was torn away from the orthodox medical treatment by his irresponsible parents in connection with the vitamin Pope Matthias Rath and his preparations, and who died now in Mexico, as the media reported. You have followed the whole case and facts with interest since the matter became public. It would also be interesting to know what your investigations and findings have revealed.
As Quetzal correctly explained to you in the 80s as a result of a foresight, the death and passing away of Yasser Arafat in November of this year 2004 was obvious. This prediction has now also been fulfilled, for Arafat died on the 2nd November, and thus already 3 days ago. In this connection, however, it must be said that all his organs are still kept in function by medical apparatus. But this does not alter the fact that the man has already died and that his spirit form has also escaped from him. The actions of the responsible doctors in this regard have purely very strict political backgrounds, whereby not only is it fraudulently claimed that Arafat is still alive, but also the attempt of a great fraud has been brought into play, namely that through certain top-secret political elements, a doppelganger of Yasser Arafat is supposed to take over his role. This doppelganger lives in Egypt and was secretly, without the Egyptian government knowing anything about it, prepared for the role he is to take over. For this reason, Yasser Arafat is also to be officially transferred to Egypt for further treatment, where he is then to be quietly buried, and the 3-year-older doppelganger officially emerges as Yasser Arafat, who has recovered. But this will fail thoroughly because the whole of the intended monstrous deception will be shattered in just a few hours today, because the doppelganger will die of sudden heart failure. As a result, Yasser Arafat's body will not be transferred to Egypt until he supposedly dies officially, which will happen very soon.
It is also unclear where Arafat, whose real name is Yasser Muhammad Arafat, was born. His temporary alias was Abu Amr, and he claimed on the one hand that he was born in Jerusalem, and on the other hand that he saw the light of day in Cairo in Egypt. Originally, he was actually an engineer, and in 1958 he was the founder and leader of the guerrilla organization Al-Fatah. He then became chairman of the PLO's Central Committee in 1969.
That is correct. He was born on the 27th of August, 1929, but neither in Jerusalem nor in Cairo. His birthplace was Ashut in Egypt.
Aha, so that is how it is. And what about the boy Dominic?
Actually, I followed the whole thing and the suffering of the boy, and I followed it until he died. The allegations of the dubious Dr. Matthias Rath regarding a wrong orthodox medical treatment of the boy do not correspond to the truth at all, but irresponsible allegations against better knowledge. The alleged large bruise in the boy's body was a very large cancerous tumor, from which metastases also spread into the lungs, etc. The large tumor put pressure on the lungs and other organs, causing the boy severe breathing and other problems. The pressure of the tumor restricted the function of the entire chest organs in such a severe form that the boy suffered from permanent pain. The life of the boy could have been saved in the early stages of the tumor if an orthodox medical operation had been performed and the boy had not been withdrawn from orthodox medical treatment. What happened? However, due to the irresponsibility of Dr. Matthias Rath and the boy's parents, who claimed that the boy's cancer had been cured by Rath's preparations, was a murder in installments of a young life. In fact, Rath's preparations are not healing drugs at all, but pure food supplements, as they can be purchased in any department store and much cheaper than the horrendously inflated prices this man is charging. He is nothing more and nothing less than to say the least, an irresponsible mumbler who sells his food supplements very expensively at the expense of people's health, not to mention the fact that he so suggestively influences his followers with untrue claims that they are in bondage to him and are no longer able to recognize the real truth. However, if healings have actually taken place when humans have taken Rath's medications, then the healing was merely based on a self-healing process, which was triggered and brought about solely by the faith suggestively hammered in by Rath. Rath's medications are not remedies, as I said before, but only simple food supplements, which are in no way better than those that can be purchased in department stores at a much cheaper price. To the contrary, it must be said that Rath's medications have an extremely harmful effect on the physical health of human beings, as in the case of the boy Dominic, in the sense that existing illnesses which are actually present are not properly treated medically. Rath's medications are in no wise, and in any respect, medicines and therefore have no curative effect in relation to existing diseases. As preventive factors as well as building up and compensating for deficiencies in vitamins, minerals, trace elements, and enzymes, etc., they can have a certain effect, as can be the case with the same or similar food supplements which can be purchased in department stores. It must also be clear that Rath's medications only have a healing effect if there is a belief that they do. Otherwise, the medications remain ineffective, as it cannot be otherwise, and as you have experienced yourself, as have many others. That, dear friend, is the real truth of all this about this completely irresponsible man, Dr. Matthias Rath, about his medications and machinations. Human life means something to him only as long as he can make a profit. If that is no longer the case, then a life has no meaning for him.
Unfortunately, the stupid ones do not die out, and Rath's suggestible influence can lead them to believe otherwise. Just as religions are the opium of the believing people, Dr. Matthias Rath and his suggestive influence are the opium of his followers, which they are so infatuated by that they deny their own reason, humiliate themselves in front of themselves and in front of their logically thinking fellow humans, and make themselves ridiculous.
That is indeed so. But now, friend Edward, let us turn our attention to the other things.